So when I started to want to lose weight, I was looking for YouTube channels that would that would talk back to the fat acceptance drivel I'd been s- soaking up for so long, and I found this guy called Ailurus, and it's very lucky that I had already kind of taken a break from the fat acceptance dogma, because if I had found him earlier, he would have pushed me back into the fat acceptance group with his cruelty, his hatred of disabled people, which we will get into. And so I wanted to make this video to talk to people and like let creators know like where fat people are coming from, and maybe how they could go about um, deprogramming us fat acceptance zombies a little better, and how they can really do some good. So let's get into it.
Oh my god, can you put a trigger warning on this for me? I'm fat and this makes me jealousy and feel shame. Gonna cry into a can of Pringles and try to down it with root beer. I hope this is a joke. Yo. How can you be that moved by seeing someone who has a better body type than you? It's crazy. You wouldn't feel this way if you just lost the weight. Because if a post really makes you feel that bad about yourself, what does that say about you?
So we can see here that even though some people are helped by Ailurus's videos, he is not in the business of helping fat people. That is an incidental thing. He's in the business of making fun of us. He doesn't really care if he helps us or not. It's just like, yay, there will be fewer fat people in the world. But I don't think that was his intention. Honestly, because he doesn't like talk about this person's unhealthy behavior. He talks about their feelings and just invalidates them. Now, I've personally felt this way before. I've seen a picture of a skinny person, and I've felt bad. And but instead of like coming to the person where they are and like understanding what's going on, instead he's just basically fuck your feelings. And I think this is because Ailurus is not somebody who likes trigger warnings. Um, but it also demonstrates an inability to meet people where they are, and a lack of empathy, in my opinion. So for this next one, I am not going to have him read through the whole thing. I'm just going to have him read the end. And if you want to pause it and read the whole thing, that's fine. But I am going to give you some of his commentary as well. So buckle in.
If you don't know what you're thinking, just sit down and eat food. It's that simple. No, it's not though. It's called being an adult. If you feel that you need to change something, change it. You can do it. You don't necessarily have to go to an expensive gym or have to eat expensive, vegetables or other weight loss items. Just do a few push-ups, do a little bit of that jogging, you feel me? Little dumb pull-ups, and you'll see the weight change. If you put your mind to it, you'll lose the weight. It's that easy.
Right, Ailurus, because we live in a perfect world where fresh vegetables are available everywhere and to everybody for a low cost. And they're already freshly prepared. So we don't even have to put the time and effort, and we don't even have to have the knowledge to prepare them. We don't live in a perfect world. People are flawed. And to care about them, to help them, you have to have compassion. You have to understand where they're coming from. It's difficult just to tell people to just stop eating. It's like it's more complicated than that, and I don't know how else to explain it. Now, for this next one, I'm just going to include a little bit of his response. You can read the post if you want to pause it and read the post. But it doesn't really matter. I just want you to see his response to this.
But this is retarded. Oh my gosh, you shouldn't show me these things. How does YouTube know I'm fat? Wow. Re.
Now, this I have no patience for. My brother is disabled, and I'm not okay with the word retarded because it's mean. It's just it's people engaged in productive and just decent discourse do not use that word. I think it's actually a pretty good measure of character to like look at people who use that word and avoid them because they usually lack compassion. And I'm sorry if you use that word, but that's what you're sending to people. And like imitating a disabled person, like later he talks about how no, being disabled like isn't a bad thing, but this is how you're portraying disabled people. I want you to keep this in mind for later. And this person's going through a depressive episode. You've never binged because you were depressed? Ever? I mean, never? I I don't know if this person lives in a glass house or not, but either way he shouldn't throw stones.
Fat people are held to impossible standards. Fat people are allowed to be sick or disabled. Being sick or disabled doesn't strike against your credibility. It's okay to be fat. Nah, fat people aren't held to impossible standards. You just think that. And no one's saying it's a strike against your credibility to be disabled. This entire post is ridiculous. No one's saying it's wrong to be fat. We're just saying that you'll die because of it. Hope you like having heart disease.
So you can clearly see the hypocrisy here. He says that like being disabled isn't a count against your credibility, but mentally handicapped people are disabled too. And you were just calling them re. That's how do you go from one like hating disabled people to two accepting them in the span of like a minute? Now, I know that there are a lot of people who are disabled and are able to lose weight, and I think that's great. But I also think that it is more difficult to lose weight as a disabled person. I think it's just kind of obvious. If it's more difficult for you to move, then it's more difficult for you to get exercise. And I think we need to talk about that. I think something that we need to do is we need to advocate for universal health care. And I know I might get some hate comments for that, but I'm an SJW. It's what I do. So I think like with universal health care, like maybe people would have like access to physical therapy, and then they could find exercises that worked for them even with their disability. And I think that could be really helpful. But first we have to get over calling people re. So there's that.
A real man will love every inch, curve, roll, and dimple. Yeah, I'm a man, and I'm gonna tell you, certain people have a thing for pain, some for schoolgirls or teachers, but do not categorize every man into loving a fat woman over a healthy one. Real women are not sticks. Well, okay, real women are not elephants.
So instead of calling fat women elephants, here's how I would talk about this photo as someone who's against the fat acceptance movement. I would point out that you shouldn't base your weight decisions on what men will like. Like, yeah, a man might like your rolls and like your big ass or something like that. But it should come from anything should come from a place of self-empowerment, not what men would want. And that's how you sell self-care. That's how you sell health, from a place of self-empowerment, not like losing weight so some guy on the internet doesn't call you an elephant, but losing weight because it'll be better for you. You'll be able to move more, go out to protests, have a grand old time. That's where you have to come from. And that is how you do talk to fat people.